Hello. Welcome to Infernal Inkwell. I'm your host for the night, Kryztoff. And tonight I'm going to tell you 3 true stories that happened in my life. It's going to talk about potential weird things happening that may be able to be explained. Maybe we live in the Matrix, or maybe it was an alternate universe. Maybe it was all in my head. One definitely happened. One can be explained by science, and one has just been a reoccurring thing in the back of my head until I was pretty much convinced that it actually happened. Also, keep in mind that these are pretty much horror stories, and horror comes along when you least expect it. You're living your life, you're living in the moment, everything's going great, and then all of a sudden, that moment, the horror happens. So, let us begin. Number 1, the church key. I don't know if y'all are familiar with what a church key is or not, but it is what bartenders call a church key. It's the little bottle opener that they open the bottles with. And me and my friend, I owned a building in downtown. It was an old building. It was decrepit. We bought it. It was a fixer-upper. We were slowly but surely fixing it up. And I had an apartment that I was working on in the top floor. You could always hear stuff in there. At least we thought we did, you know. I mean, imaginations run wild. It's a big open building. You think you hear ghosts, blah, blah, blah. Up until this point, I've never seen anything. And even after this encounter, I don't know if it was a ghost. I don't know if I believe in ghosts. That would be a horrible existence where you die and you're stuck in purgatory to the point to where your existence consists of turning light switches on and off at the peril of people still alive.
Yeah, hold up.
But me and my friend were sitting in my apartment, and it was just me and one friend. Normally there's a lot of us, but, you know, because this was back in my early days, we would party. It was just me and my one friend sitting in this room. We was playing video games, and as I said, everything's normal up until it's not. And we're playing video games, and we're listening to music, and all of a sudden, that church key that I was talking about was hanging on a back wall, and it was on a nail, and it was across the room. There was nobody else there. There was no draft, and even if it was, it was a hunk of metal loosely hanging off of a nail. It can't do this. And it was as if somebody walked up to it and then just knocked it off the wall. And it went flying across the room, and me and my friend looked at each other, looked at the wall, we looked back at each other, and we looked at the TV and just kept playing video games. And I think it was 10 years later, I had finally had enough, and I went up to him and I was like, man, did that actually happen back then? And he was like, yeah, man, that happened. We never talked about it again. And I know this seems so inconsequential. You got people that got videos of ghosts and demons and everything like that, but this truly happened, and I don't care if you believe me or not. I know it did, and it's unexplainable, and it didn't hurt us. At the time, it was more weird than scary, and it just makes you think that if that can happen, what else is possible? Because a lot of people talk a lot of big games about ghosts and the paranormal and everything, and I have honestly not witnessed much other than basically that. But that's my theory again. I don't think it was a ghost, because what a horrible existence. You die and you knock shit off counters. No, I think it's interdimensional. I think maybe it was somebody's dimension that crossed over into ours, and they just happened to knock it off. And maybe we're ghosts in another dimension, but you know, even if it's as simple as that, you really experience something and it changes your whole world, and it changes your whole mindset, and it sticks with you for the rest of your life. Because I'm able to sit here and tell you this story like it happened yesterday. It happened, and I remember it very clearly. And like I said, it was so weird that Me and my friend just refused to talk about it for 10 years, period. We just pretended it didn't happen. Carried on with our lives. That's it. That's that story, and I hope it's not underwhelming, and I hope that you can fully comprehend and fully appreciate the effect that when something actually happens, it's real. Part 2, story number 2. Call them sleep paralysis demons. I've experienced that. This was the most terrifying thing I have ever experienced in my life. And I've been through some things physically, emotionally, things that'll scar people. And this happened this quick, and it was the most terrifying thing that I've ever experienced in my life. I was living with my aunt at the time, and I was heavy in my addiction, and I was sober that night. But I had a room in her place. It just benefited both of us for me to live with her, and it gave me a place to stay, and they always talked about weird things that went on in that house. And I got to experience one. I was laying there in the bed, and they say sleep paralysis, but to me it was so real. It seemed as if I was wide awake. I was laying on my side facing the door, and if you were to ask me, I wasn't asleep. And once again, this may tie into dimensions and interdimensional things and that sort of thing. And next thing I know, I'm sitting there looking at the door, trying to go to sleep. And it was like one of the creatures from the movies that crawl on all fours, but their feet go over their legs. Their arms. She had like matted hair, and she looked like what I would describe as a hag. And she came around the corner and just stared at me. And at that moment in time, I had never been so scared in my life. And I was 26, 27 years old. And all of a sudden, this sleep paralysis demon, this entity that crossed boundaries, I don't know what it was, it saw me. It was definitely hostile, and it just bolted towards me like just feet over hands. And the only thing I could do in that moment in time, because it caught me so off guard, was turn over like a kid, like we used to do, and just turn over and put my blanket over my head. It wasn't like I thought this out. It was just such a reactionary thing. Like, that's what my body did. I had no control over it. And I laid there for a few seconds, and nothing happened. I was wide awake the whole time. I don't think it was a sleep paralysis demon. Finally, after about 20 minutes, built up the courage to turn over and look, and there was nothing there. And needless to say, I got up and went in the other room and slept on the couch. And I didn't sleep in that room again the entire rest of the time I lived there. So what was it? I don't know. But it's another example of how you're just living your life, and then out of nowhere, horror hits you. And it was frightening. I hope you never have to experience it. It wasn't paralysis either, because I was able to roll over. Yeah, they're out there. Alright, part 3. An ongoing occurrence. My entire life, I have felt as if something was off, and I've always chalked it up to movies. Like, I've seen alien invasion movies, and you see the people that have the aliens visit them and come in the rooms, and they take them and they don't remember it. And for some reason, I've always felt like, that's me. But no, it's just all in my head. Like, I have no memory of this stuff. Like, I felt it in my heart of hearts, like that was what was happening to me. Still is happening to me, probably. But I had no reason to believe that it was happening, other than I just felt it in my soul. Now, whether they're demons or aliens, I'm not going to get into that. I don't know. Whether they had good intentions, I don't know. I couldn't sit here and tell you what they looked like. I don't know, because I don't know if I've ever been abducted by aliens. But I've always felt in my heart of heart that I was one of them people that got reoccurring abductions. And the one thing that actually made me believe it even more, and the reason I tell stories like this that are so vague, is because reality is vague. People can sit here and tell you about their experiences with Bigfoot, and they see him in the woods, or they have a ghost that appears every night, or come on, man. Really? I believe stuff happens, but me personally, it happens that quick. Tell me, let me know in the comments, like, have you experienced something, and was it something that was substantial and stuck out and wasn't just fleeting? Because to me, I don't think that things that aren't supposed to happen in our reality, within the bounds of our laws of physics, if that's one way of putting it, happen. It bleeds over, it happens momentarily, and then it's gone. That's my opinion. But the reason that I believe that I have been abducted before, and if not regularly, is because 6 months ago we just moved into our new house. Me and my wife were laying in our bed, and I see a bright light, and the next thing I know, it's like I'm waking up, and that's it. It's like I don't remember. I got a glimpse of that light, and I don't remember anything in between. And it's like I woke up, and my wife's like, "What's the deal?" And I'm like, I don't know. It just feels like something just happened. Like I could have swore I saw all the windows light up. That's enough. Was I abducted? Was I dreaming? I don't know. But the fact that I have felt the way I have felt my entire life, and then all of a sudden I got a glimpse of it, almost makes me think that it could be true. I still don't know, and I still don't believe it is, because until I actually wake up and have a lasting memory of little gray guys or whatever with big old almond eyes, I'll never fully believe it. But you know, the idea, the concept of that was terrifying. Still is terrifying. You know, I got a child now. He's 1 year old. You know, mess with me, but don't mess with him. That's scary. So yeah, 3 very fleeting moments of abnormality in my life that caused terror, disbelief, remembrance. It stuck with me. I know it's true. It has gauged the way I see the world, and I'm telling you this on my channel because this is what my channel is all about, is the weird stuff. And I put out other videos, but I'm also going to do these where I tell my personal stories, because I've got a lot of other stuff that I can talk about. And I'll probably say it again, but I don't care if you believe me or not. I know what happened. So that being said, I mean, that's my 3 stories. I hope you enjoyed them. Let me know in the comments if you've had any experience with anything weird and odd. I'm going to go do the whole spiel. Please subscribe and like. I got a new channel, so that really helps out a lot. I've got a small merch store right now down there in the description. It's got a couple t-shirts and hoodies and some like wall art and puzzles from some of the art that I use on some of my older videos. And I'm going to expand it, but you can check that out. I got my website down there. I'm just starting it out. It's only got 1 article on it right now, but you can go check that out. Eventually, you know, I'm going to make a whole thing out of this. But thanks for watching, and stay safe, because you honestly never really know what you're going to get yourself into.